Yo, what up, chat? Morning. Happy Friday. How is everybody? Alchemist, what's up, dude? Cowface, dude, what's up? How's it going? Ikasi, Root, what's up, dude? How's everybody doing today? Wait, which way is my hair going today? I don't remember. I think it's this way. Yeah, cool. What's up, Z? How's it going, buddy? How is everybody? Happy Friday. Hope you guys had a good week. I hope you got to tune in to one of the other amazing streams we had this week. Pretty hyped, to be honest with you. Pretty hyped over our new schedule. Feels good to just have something that I can just be like, all right, this is, this is what we're going to do. I lubricated my butthole with special cream to get rid of my hemorrhoids. Hey, man, it happens. You know, sometimes your butthole hurts, you know, and you do what you can. So, what's up, Angel? I appreciate you coming in hot like that. Maybe not so much next time, but looks like you need some hair product. You know what's funny is I'm already wearing hair product, but I think I shook my head a little too hard this morning getting ready, and I messed it up. It's fine. Top driver, what's up, dude? How's it going? Hello. Good morning. So, chat, from last stream. Oh, yeah, dude, you're right. Holy crap. Hold on. Let's get that bad boy back in there. There we go. Okay. All right, there we go. All right. Hey. Yeah, see, it's rejoined. It's the rest of the head. Okay, so anyways, what was I going to say? Oh, so yeah, so last stream, if you do not recall, chat, for me was Wednesday. I streamed Wednesday. And so Wednesday night, actually, we got a lot of good stuff done. We finished automating the creation of our CircleCI machine runner, the actual instance creation side of it, and the actual Pulumi automation side of it. So the good news is that if I go to our console, if I log in here, oh shit, hang on. I always forget that I start in full screen now. What's up, Z? Yeah, dude, it's Friday. We're chilling. We're going to be deploying databases today. EC2. All right, here, let's switch. We're just getting into it, chat. We're going to start working quick today. All right, so yeah, so if you look, you'll see, bam, here is our Alta 4 LLC CircleCI machine runner, small, right? So the nice thing is with this automation, right? And if we go to CI CD, right? I'll show you the code, right? Now remember, I've talked about this many a times, and I am going to be doing some YouTubes about it as well, which is the idea of us solving our problems with automation repositories. And so this is our CI/CD automation repository. And what problem it solves is it basically makes it so that we can deploy CI/CD cloud resources in any cloud for any provider. Right. So, for example, right now we're providing a CircleCI machine runner, right? But in the future, we might also provide a GitHub Action machine runner, right? Or maybe, I don't know, something else. But the main point here is that we want to provide basically just everything CI/CD related in this automation repository. And so that's what we did. If we go to it, we go to main.go. Right, you'll see here, this is where we set up the actual automation provider itself, right? Bam, like that. And then you'll see here, this is where we actually start creating the resources. So we create our security group, and then we create our, not just like an instance, not just like an EC2 instance or anything like that, but an actual CircleCI runner where we say like, okay, what AZ do we want it to go into? What is the name of the runner, right? Machine small. What is the security group that's attached to it and the VPC that it's put in? Yo, what's up, Coder? How's it going, buddy? And so then if we go to that function, we'll see that this is our actual CircleCI runner component, right? So this is the thing that has all of the actual cloud resources in it. And so this goes out and gets our AMI, which if we go to the AMI, you can see this is the Circle CI runner instance we made with Packer, right? We get that. We get the subnets that for the availability zone that we selected, right? And so that's another thing is like we say AZ so that if we want to, we can just provision it to many subnets. And in the future, we maybe even many AZs, right? Security group, this is the security group that we drop off so that we can basically make it accessible. And then what we do is we say, okay, now, and I want to be clear, like this is something I struggle with from now and then, or every now and then. And it's really around like templating, like having files, right? And knowing like where's the secret and where's like the configuration exist. And what I mean by that a little bit more detail is like I need a user data file, right? But I don't want to like put this whole thing into like a secret. And that's something that's pretty common that like a lot of people could end up doing is like, all right, you know what? I don't know where to put this. So I'm just going to make the whole thing a secret and that'll make it work. And it works, right? Like that works, right? However, because we're programming this and I want to make it so that there's as little needed change between runners, between like parameters, all that kind of stuff. Thank you for the follow, by the way. That what I wanted to do is I wanted to make the actual like user data into a template. And so that's what I did. And so I said, okay, well, it'll run all this bash, but then I'm going to use Go templating as a way to replace auth token with the actual auth token and runner name with the actual runner name. And so when we go back to Circle CI runner and we look at rendered template, you're going to see what we do is we, to get the actual user data that we use within the configuration, we say, okay, let's get the access token. We get that access token. We set up a user data template args with the auth token and runner name. The runner name is just the name that we already provide the component. So again, all dynamic, all standardized. And then we execute that to a buffer, right? Basically that gets rendered to output to a buffer. That buffer then gets read as a string. So it goes from bytes to string. And then we return that output, which returns the user data, and then bam, that gets added to the instance. And so that makes it so that now all I need to do in my configurations is provide the secret. I don't have to worry about providing the other steps. I don't have to worry about like decrypting it to try and debug it and then like re-encrypting it. I'm just providing, the secret part to the, with what it needs, and everything else is easily editable. So yeah, so the CI/CD part is done. We have our machine runner, and not only did I do that, but I also took it one step further and I added support in build configs to support the new runner. And so if we go into this PR that I'm currently working on, you'll see that it says support for EKS clusters. That's true, and we are doing that. But now what I've also done is let's see, where is it? This is Circle CI. That's library. Hold on, I gotta find it, chat. 1 second. Here it is. Yeah, I think this is it. Yeah, Pulumi Circle CI. So if you look at this, you'll notice that like if there's no Pulumi EKS cluster, or basically, I'm sorry, if there is a Pulumi EKS cluster, or if it's not undefined or empty, then we do extra steps. And even if we say that if it is an EKS cluster that it's managing, then we don't even run it on the cloud anymore. We actually now set it up where we say like, okay, well, if it's running on an EKS cluster, then we set machine to true. We don't set up any of this Docker stuff, but we do set up the parameters, and we don't set up the working directory either. And there's even like completely separate steps now where if it's running in EKS, it actually knows how to attach to the workspace, log in, pull the image, update the kube config, run the just parameters, and then run the actual command itself. So I refactored and I added all of that as well. And so to test it, I actually did it with Pulumi Kubernetes. Oh, wait, but never mind. It doesn't need to be on that, so it's not there right now. Anyways, but yeah, no, Pulumi Kubernetes has also been updated. So we're at a point now where basically we've got all of the stuff that we wanted updated and running and easily automatable. We have control over our Kubernetes clusters. We have control over our DNS. We have control over our networking. We have control over our source control. And so now we also have the ability of creating runners in our private network so that we can run jobs, that we need to privately. And so one of the first things you might think of when you go like, okay, well, what are things that are just completely private to a network? When we talk about like cloud infrastructure, one of those first things that might come to mind is databases, and you would be correct. No, actually databases. But yeah, sure, user info as well in databases. And so we want to provision databases in our private network now that we could then run jobs against in our private runner, right? So that we can automate that, the creation of the database, the creation of the actual maybe like tables or schema, or like maybe not tables or schema, but maybe at least users, right? Make it so that that also handles everything related to the management of the database version, master password, all that kind of stuff. Is it important to carefully choose between TS or Go, C# for Pulumi definitions? No. Two things I've noticed about Pulumi. One, the DSL's almost identical on a language level for all of them. You know what I mean? Because it's just like schema. Mostly it's just schema. I would say the biggest jump you'd probably take would be from like Go to like YAML. You know what I mean? Or like any of the languages to like YAML, You could pretty much understand definitions in any language. And it's like, if you like, I guess what I mean to say is this, it would suck. I'm not saying you should, maybe make the decision before you do it. But if you find yourself in a scenario where you're like, I want to rewrite all this in a different language, you won't be in a scenario where you're like, oh my gosh, what does all of this mean in this new, like it's pretty much all the same stuff in, you know what I mean, in just a different language. I think they made that. I think that was a goal that they wanted as well. Okay, so like I said, we want to be able to automate our databases. Now I haven't actually created the documentation on this, so we're gonna kind of do it together. We're gonna jump down because we've already got bucket, we've already got container registry, and we've already got machine user. So what we could do, I guess, is wait, no, that's not what I wanted to move. Database. Is we can move database there. And yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is going to be written in Go. We're going to say database automation is handled by the Pulumi database repository, maintains all resources in all cloud providers. Yo, Grilla, what's up, man? How's it going, buddy? I hope you're doing well, too. Let's zoom in a little bit for you guys so you can see this a little bit easier. There we go. Okay, so let's go to one that we already wrote, and I'm just going to copy some stuff here because, I'm lazy. Okay. Boop. There we go. Okay. Provide for database. Yeah, it's my favorite Knicks guy. Yo, it's my favorite M. Valdez guy. What's up, man? How's it going? How are you? It's good to see you, though, Grilla. Good to see you. Okay, so below provides what we offer for AWS database configurations. So we're going to say mermaid because we want to do some graphing. Okay, so I actually already have infrastructure in place for a different project. However, it's not in TypeScript, or it's not in Go, it's in TypeScript. And I also don't know if this is fully like how I want to solve this problem. This is really just kind of how I did it to solve this problem in this repository. The way that I'm kind of looking at this right now, like Alt F4 has to look at this from a cost savings perspective. We have to. We're not making tons of money. Like, we do this out of passion. And I think what we're going to do right now is I think we're going to make one database that we share, that all projects share, basically. Mostly because I have full confidence in RDS. I've used it for many years. I know how to manage it, whether it be a single instance or a multi-tenant instance. Yeah, and so like I kind of I'm kind of finding myself in a scenario where it's like some places having like exact replicas in each environment is going to be really powerful for us. And other places, I don't really know if it's going to matter as much. And like, I want to not think about databases. Like I want to solve the database problem to where I just don't have to think about it. And I think a lot of people probably feel that same way. It's like, you don't really want to have to be thinking about managing your databases. And so I kind of want to take that same approach where it's like we provision them, you get your user credentials, you're done. You know, like that's it. Anything else to worry about is just automated and taken care of. So yeah, I think for now we're going to create one database instance, or at least what I was thinking is one database instance per product. Let's do this, chat. Let's go to the old Quackulator, the old Amazon Quack. Now, again, this thing, yo, what's up, Whisper? This thing is not like the greatest on the planet. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to give you the best the best pricing, but it'll give you at least some kind of an idea. RDS for Postgres, cool. Is there a program that can change syntax so you can change to another language automatically? Yes, it's called ChatGPT, and if you think I'm kidding, I'm not. I actually use ChatGPT to say, like, take this code and turn it into this language. Try it. Yes, try. ChatGPT is actually a very good programmer. In a lot of ways, it's not the best. I wouldn't say it's better than most people here, but it is it's a confident programmer. Good God, my phone is exploding. Everybody's going live. The ceremony surrounding database is probably now NoSQL got off the ground. It's probably how. Yes. Sorry, I read that wrong. My phone is just like exploding. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the goal here and that's another thing, labor is like if I wanted to, if I was like, all right, well now I want to separate them, it really shouldn't matter too much, right? They've been abstracted away from everything else, and everything kind of just looks at them as like an endpoint, right? That's what we want to do, is we really just kind of want to have an endpoint, be like, all right, so what is very useful? Sorry. So like I said, we want to save some cash if we can. Let's see, what's the smallest one? This is what? Oh, this has got to be like yearly or something. No, this is monthly. Monthly cost $66, bro. Good God. Oh, this is multi. Let's do it a single. $44. What? Oh, okay, that's probably why. T4G, T3, there we go. Let's go to a T3 micro. $38 a month. Really? God, RDS is so friggin' expensive. This is why we're only doing one of these. Will you be creating a proxy? Oh, no. Oh, Jesus! Sorry. My bad, chat. I apologize. Why is a proxy so much? What? Learn more. Thanks. Is price-based capacity of underlying for provisioned? Is price per CPU per hour for Aurora service? What does it do? Is price based on the capacity, but what does it do? It's fully managed database proxy that makes applications scalable, more resilient. Many applications, including the built serverless, can have large number of connections. exhausting database compute resources. Proxy allows you to pull, establish, improving. Oh, I see. Yeah, yep. I see. Okay. Yeah, we don't need that, dude. Holy crap. Why are you sneaking that in there? Enabled by default. Ridiculous. Yeah, I think that's about right. 1 gigabit of memory. Oh, that's not a lot. So we have the micro and then we have the small. For an extra $10, we get like double. Yeah, it is basically that, Cran, yeah. I think for now we'll just do I don't know. Man, RDS really gets you. Now, if we wanted to, like I said, if we really wanted to, we could use Packer here. We could, figure out a way to install Postgres into a database instance, and like we could basically create our own RDS if we really wanted to. I just don't know if I want to. Let me look at something really quickly. We actually do have an RDS instance already provisioned somewhere. I'd like to see what the resources are on it currently. Sorry, I got distracted. So the CPU on this instance that we have here, I'm not going to show it to you because I don't want to share anything about it. But it is running what's it running? A micro. It is running a micro. So it's barely using any CPU, 3.2%. That's tiny. Let's look at memory utilization. Freeable memory. Oh, I forget how they do that. What does freeable memory mean again? It's like the inverse. It's doing 10 IOPS. That's hilarious. What's the current connections load? 5. It's nothing. So it's saying that we've got 240 megabytes of freeable memory. And I think that's out of a gigabyte. But I don't remember what freeable memory means. Because I'm tired. What's up, Cram, by the way? How's it going, dude? So we're only using like 200 megabytes of memory. I think that's what that means. If I'm not mistaken. What's up, Zizep? How's it going, buddy? It would be... listen, Whisper, we're going to try nixifying more like things, I guess. Don't worry about that. Where is the announcement about the new time schedule? I don't see it in Discord. Very sus. I mean, I think we wanted to try it first before. I mean, we have announced it on stream multiple times. But we haven't. Yeah, I guess we haven't really like put it like out there. You know what? I think we're just gonna stick with a micro. It's going okay. Oh, I hope it goes better soon. I hope that at least means that you're doing okay. Oh no, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just giving you a hard time, but yeah, I think our best scenario here is a micro. And honestly, like we really don't do a lot of database stuff. So we've already talked about potentially going serverless. I don't know how feasible that is everywhere, but we'll see. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll change it later. All right, so we are gonna go micro. I think it was like T3A micro, which is a 2 CPU, 1 gigabyte RAM. It's interesting that they're providing for 24 something. It was like 24 whatever. I forget. I didn't. Dang it. I closed it without thinking to check. T3. Do they have A? They don't. Dang. T3A would make it a bit cheaper. That'd be nice if they did. It'd be cool if you did. Single. No. 1659. That's right. All right. So 1659. Now again, this is an estimate. That's not like what you should go to heart on or take to heart. Yeah. This is just like what we kind of expect this to be. Did Atoda survive the network outage? I'm pretty sure he did, yeah. He is still with us. Okay. So let's look at the resources we want to make here. We need a subnet group. So we're going to need to create a subnet group. And that subnet group is going to attach to a database instance. Now, we're not going to do trying to get comfy. We're not going to do multi-AZ. Again, I don't want to do that right now, basically because it just doubles the costs. At the moment, we don't need it. I'm really not too worried about it. It's already going to be in the cloud. Excuse me. So if we need to plan outages or something like that, or if we want to, we can temporarily go AZ, multi-AZ, and then go back. Like, there's ways of basically making it so you don't always have to pay for AZ. You can just pay for it when you need it. Okay. So we've got our database instance. We also need to create a security group. Right? And the main reason why we're doing this is because we really want to make sure that everything that has accessibility has good rules around it. For example, database instance security group will need to have the EKS security group, EKS security, SECURITY security group to work with it. Right. And not only that, but it'll also need to have actually here we could say security group VPN as well. Right. And these are things that we want to make sure that are out of the box, which is that the EKS security group can access it via ingress. Right. And so can the VPN. This is for Alta 4, and Quirk. So Quirk, technically, I get. Well, you get what I'm saying. These are all things we're doing at a low level right now, but it's for databases for Quirk and other things we build. Security group, database, security group. That's what. There we go. Database. That's what needs to be connected. What is that? Is that cheaper? I don't know what. Dude, it's so hard to understand it when it's like T4G. Hold on. T4G micro? Look at you little. I don't know what that beep was for. I didn't even curse. Thank you. All right, so D4G. Yeah. Wait, what does G mean? That would be my only question. What does G mean? What is Quirk, if you don't mind me asking? Quirk is the thing that powers everything that we use for our stream. So, for example, our, what's it called? Bot is Quirk. Our notifications are Quirk. Our rewards are powered by Quirk. A lot of the things that you interact with on stream, a lot of the things that help us manage our community are basically powered by Quirk. Graviton. So is this fine if we use this? I mean, it should be, right? That's just the ARM processor, isn't it? I don't use it that much. Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, okay. Yeah, ARM. Yeah. So yeah, for us it should be fine because we just need it as a connection. We're not going to be like actually accessing the database or anything like that. So T4G chat? Is that what we go with? Yeah. T4G. I'm down to give it a shot. I'm down to go into the future. Use the Graviton. T4G. DB. Oh, come on, man. DB. Oh, come on, man. DB. T4G. Here we go. Micro. Yeah, no, you're right. You totally can. So what is this? 1513. Dang, look at you saving a whole mother dollar. Yeah, it's Streamer Tools. Basically, it's a Streamer Tools platform. Yeah. It's literally a Streamer Tools platform. Yep. You got it. Security group. But so here's the thing too, is this 7th, and I will say this as well, is this Alt F4 is also a company, right? Like when we were able to start, taking donos and stuff like that through Twitch, we were like, all right, let's make this into something that can power itself. That's really the goal, is just to make sure it can power itself. And it's been interesting. So far, not too terrible, but it's definitely been, like any business. But yeah, no, we wanted it to power itself. And so like, what is cool is like your guys' subs go directly to our cloud costs. Like you guys power our cloud basically, with your subscriptions and donations and stuff like that. And so, we take your money seriously. And so that's why, I have to look at this and be like, okay, well, what do we have? What can we work with? I mean, it's lucky enough that we're able to, at least run things in the cloud, which is cool. But also to, have what I would say is an interesting challenge of doing it affordably, while also trying to build really good software, and stream that to you. You know what I mean? Is really what a lot of the content is about. So yeah. So we bankroll your cloud costs. I think so. What? Dude, I'm so brain dead today. I can't remember anything. Yes, you do. Yes, you support us financially. Yes, you are our. Yes. Mostly EKS, I assume. No, I wouldn't assume that. EKS is really just there to solve the problem of like services running all, things that need to run all the time or things that need to run on schedules. That's really the only thing we use EKS for. Lambdas, things like that, those are all really utilized by cloud providers, other, database. Obviously, we're not, right now, our databases do run in EKS, but we're getting rid of that, right? We're creating this instance so that we can run our databases in RDS and then just give EKS access to that security group so that, we can just connect from the cluster to the database. Didn't you have some grant from AWS for this too? So yes and no. Technically, there's this thing that you can get where if you're a new company, you can apply and they'll like basically give you money to be on their platform. Because we are a baby company, they only gave us like $1,000, which I know that sounds like a lot, but when we talk about cloud costs, it's really not. And so we've already burned through that. Yeah, that was like 6 months ago as well. So I think, but we got like a solid three like months out of it, which was nice. So I mean, I'm not complaining, but it's not something that like replenishes itself. Unfortunately, it's not like you get it $1,000 a month. It's just a one time like, hey, come join us and we'll take we'll take the hit of the first 1,000. And see, that's actually another thing too, MDS Ubuntu, which is that this is why we're trying to make these things cloud agnostic, because in the future, if we go back to network and we say like, all right, well, we are on Azure, you know what? We also want to try Oracle, right? Right. Or also, what I would say what we're probably going to do sooner is Google, GCP, basically. And like once we think about what I want you guys to think of these repositories as. I want you guys to think of these repositories as like the tools you use in video games to like build the foundation of a civilization, right? You have to lay down this block. You have to lay down your network or your DNS, right? Or I'm sorry, so your source control so you can save all of your source code, right? And then you have to lay down your DNS on top of your source code so that you can run automation for DNS. And then you have to lay down your networking on top of your DNS so that your networking can resolve everything properly and that you can start provisioning things in networks, right? And then you want to lay down your cloud images on top of that. So you have the ability of, automating all of these instances you create and have really good reproducibility or, whatever, basically being able to make them over and over again. CI/CD, like all these things, they just sit on top of each other, right? And so in this case for database, we're sitting it on top of the networking that already exists. So once we lay that networking, we're good. So yeah, once we lay networking in Google, which we may try doing sooner than later, we may say like, all right, let's go ahead and set up networking in Google, and then we'll put databases in there and give it a shot. Or if we wanted to, we could also say like, you know what, we want to start using BigQuery. How's the new version of Quirk going? Pretty good, man. I mean, I'm really happy with what we're doing. Like, we have really good stuff here. None of this is public yet, Grilla. Yet. Again, yet. Yet is the key word, my friend. Don't worry. Yeah. If you have questions, again, as I always say, if you have questions, just ask them. Wait, what? Oh, it's because I set it to 100 gigs. You know what, chat? I don't even think we need 100 gigs. I think we only need 50. I really don't think we need 100 gigs. Yeah. I don't see us consuming that much data. I really don't. Okay. So what else do we need? So at this point, chat, at this point, we have made it so that we create a database instance. However, I think we need to consider some other things really quickly as well, which is the database instance itself is also going to have a database, right? And that database is going to have roles, and it's going to have grants, and it's going to have, oops. Oh my gosh, I can't spell. Extensions. Now, if we want to give this a little bit more, we could say that the role points to the database. What does the grant point to? I forget. Database and role. So grant points to role. And then role points to... Oh, wait, no. Role doesn't point to anything. Okay, hold on. Let's try this again. So a role's just by itself over here, just hanging out. And then a grant points to a role. Okay, so a grant points to a role, and a grant points to a database. There we go. And then an extension points to a database as well. I love it when it does this. Let me zoom in a bit for you guys. Let me see if I can also... There we go. That should be better. Okay. Zoom in a bit more. I think I'm actually hitting the boundaries of which... There we go. That should be better. Just want to make sure you guys can see chat, you know? Okay. This is why I love Mermaid. You just don't have to think about any of this stuff. So security group, database instance, security group, database, database instance, security group, EKS, and VPN. Technically, if we were going left to right, we could say that these go first. Security group, database goes here. Database instance. Subnet group. Okay. So database instance gets created. And we create a database, an extension, and a grant, and a role. The extension gets created for the database. Excuse me. The grant gets created for the database, and the role gets created in the database instance, and the grant gives access to the database via the role. Right? So the role kind of exists on its own over here, but the grant is what tells it, hey, this role can be used for this database and all that stuff. So this looks pretty good. This looks, what I would say, pretty accurate to, I think, most of what we need. We could have a couple other things in here if we wanted to. We could have like a custom like parameter group if we wanted. I'm not really going to be too worried about that right now because I think their default one is fine at the moment. And it's just an extra resource I really don't need to manage at the moment. I think there's an options group as well. I can't remember how many like different things that they provide, but this looks pretty good. Like I think this is at least something that we can start constructing with code. Now, what are we going to get out of this? So there's a couple of other things we need to be able to provide. We need to be able to provide a list of databases, need to be able to, and actually here, let's do this. This is something I've been doing more as well, which is I've been kind of thinking about the schema. So just like using like JSON and saying like, okay, or actually we don't even need to do that because we're writing it in Go. We can just do Go. So type, we'll say AWS database struct. Now, I talk about this a lot as well, which is like we want to define this in a way that solves our problems, right? I don't want to have to give this like what database version am I running or what am I, you know, whatever underneath the hood. I only want to look at it from a pure like just like what problems am I trying to solve from a company perspective and letting my configuration handle that for me, right? So first off, we'd give it a name, obviously, so that we know what the database is for. I think the next one we'll probably want to do is actually, we could probably call this instance a database instance. I think that's a better way to call it because then it'll have databases and then maybe we have like a string, right? Maybe we have like a string array of databases. Wait, I don't know if I did that right. I don't remember if Go it's on the right or on the left. But anyways, yeah, string of databases. Now, if we do that, if we do a string of databases, I guess the question would then be, how do users get created? Right? So for example, if I made this Quirk dev or Quirk prod, right? Actually, probably like this, Quirk prod would be the database name. Then the user would probably be Quirk prod, right? And then it would get like a random password. However, that doesn't really make it like service by service connection. It means that every service is going to use the same credentials to connect to the database. I don't know if I care about that as much or not, you know, because I think in Quirk, the only thing that actually connects to the database is the API. However, it does wager the question, do we want to have databases and then do we want to have like users, right? And this could be like a map string, maybe like string array. And so what it would do is it would provide you something like this, where you say like, okay, my user is going to be Quirk dev API, I don't know, for example, right? And then something like this, Quirk dev, right? Because then what it could do is it could say, okay, this user will get added to these databases. The nice thing about this is like, if I wanted to, then I could say like, all right, my custom user, right? Like now I actually have control over solving the problem of like, hey, and this is actually how we solve this problem at Hippo, chat, if you guys were curious. If you guys ever run into the scenario where you're like, you have people need to access prod. Oh, hey, I need to access prod database for some reason. Well, at Hippo, what we do is we have user automation around this. And so we create like short-lived tokens within our database via automation, and basically have like an array of users just like this. And so the idea is, again, like if I need to, I can do, you know, Quirk dev, for example, or Quirk dev API, and, you know, create all of our main service ones, right? Kind of like this. Be like Quirk dev, Quirk prod. Boom. What's up, Split? How's it going, man? Have a component that provisions database servers and another one which handles resources related to the software database. What? What do you mean by that, Grilla? So we could do that, I guess. I think I see what you're saying. So we could leave the user creation to users, grants, and roles. Yeah. No. That's fine. Okay, so if we do that, that's actually totally fine. We can do that. The challenge. So here's kind of the challenge, though, is that if we do that, we're either gonna have to create the users manually right now, or I'm trying to think of what we will have to do there, actually. So we do already have automation with Quirk, obviously, Quirk service. We could add it to that. So that would mean that after we create the database, we would do this. Right? We'd create our database, and then we'd go to Quirk service. Pulumi service, yeah. And then in resource, we have this like persistence. But what we could do is we could delete this. We could go to backend, because API is the only thing I think that actually needs access to a database. Oh, okay. Well, okay, so this will kind of make us kill two birds with one stone, which is I also want to rip out Quirk Pulumi component. Okay, so yeah, so there's a few things we need to do to get us to where all this will connect, right? And that's kind of like what I was just trying to wrap my head around. If we don't create the database users here, which is totally fine, let's split this again. So grant, we can get rid of, we'll keep extension. Well, no, we can get rid of extension as well. Basically anything related to the actual software itself, we can do that. Okay, security group EKS, security group database, security VPN, database. So we still do want to create a database at least within our database instance for all of those. So I do think that this will still be important for us to do again, and this would be like, Quirk dev, Quirk prod, right, so forth and so on. And we could even just like create a simple array if we want to. So those will get created, and then in our service automation, we'll connect to the database and create everything else that's related to it. Okay. I like that. That works. That works for me, chat. All right. I think we're ready to hop into it. I think we're ready to actually start doing some programming now. 1 second, chat. All right. So here's our issue, our linear issue database automation. So there's a couple things we need to do. The first thing we need to do is we need to create a couple automation repositories that are intrinsic to essentially how we run automation here at Hippo. The first one is going to be we need to clone the Pulumi GitHub repository. Oh, GitHub. And then the other one we need to clone is the container clone container registry. The reason why we have to do this is because we need to create a new repository in source code. And it's going to be an automation repository. Sorry, repositories. There we go. In source control. So just like Pulumi bucket. Actually, I might have already done this. No, okay, I didn't do this. I think I did create the container already, though. So we're going to go here. We're going to create a new repository. This is going to be called Pulumi database. Right? Pulumi automation for database resources. And that's it. That's literally it. That's all we need, at least for right now. See, feature repositories added Pulumi database. And again, like when I talked to you guys earlier in the week, when I said like I wanted to make it so that when we need to make changes, it's just this easy. That's what I meant. Like, oh, I need to go add a repository. Cool. I don't need to trip over automation because it's not working. I've got, everything up and running and, easily running in CI/CD and stuff like that. So we have that now, chat. So we're good. Changes added Pulumi database. And our pipeline should already be running. Well, whenever Circle CI decides to give us, why are you saying degraded? Okay. Let me go look at my work Slack and see if there's a status report. Nah. Cool. Oh, do I know about? Yes, I know about CDK TF. Thank you, Chris. CDK TF is pretty cool. I prefer Pulumi. And the main reason for that, and this is what I kind of talk about often with it, I don't know if you can hear me or not. But because CDKTF synthesizes, meaning that it takes your written language and then like creates it into a JSON or an HCL or JSON or whatever to be consumed then. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. And I don't really like that translation, you know? When we talk like you really fall into like really weird problems with like circular dependencies and stuff like that. And I've tried it, I guess is what I mean to say. And I just ended up liking Pulumi better. No, I think it's AWS CDK might have actually technically been out first than Pulumi even. I'm not 100% on that, but I think they might have. No, I don't think they're playing catch up. I think they're just trying to do it their own way. HashiCorp is very much known for their like ingenuitive approaches to things, and I wouldn't say cutting corners because I don't think in any way, shape, or form that that's what they do. But I mean to be like, all right, well, let's make it so that we can just easily take a language and then transfer it. You know what I mean? Rather than saying like, okay, well, let's fully support a language and all of that and make like libraries in each language and stuff like that. Like it's just different. Man, I am so happy with our CI setup, man. I really am. And I don't even mean it in the sense of like Circle CI. Sorry, no disrespect. But I just mean in the sense of like how everything is set up. Like if we wanted to move to GitHub Actions, we actually could pretty easily. I don't think it would be too terrible for us to conceivably do. But just, build configs, having build configs was a massive game changer. To where I don't have to worry about my pipelines working or not. You know what I mean? I just add things to my automation and I run them. And I really like that. Like I like just being able to focus on making features more so than like maintaining things. So I'm pretty happy with the overall result that we've had so far with build configs and even the automation changes we've made in the infrastructure. Like, yeah, I'm pretty excited for what we're going to be building. All right, so we did Pulumi GitHub. I think I already added it to. Yeah, I think I already added automation. I think I already added database. Yeah, I did. See, database is already here. Yeah, so I added database already. So we don't need to worry about that. So now that we've got that, which is awesome, right? Really awesome. We want to set up our repository, right? So if you were to ask yourself, or here's what we'll do. I'll create a document for you guys. We'll call it page how to guides. And the first one we'll say is page setup automation repository, right? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a new entry in Pulumi GitHub for your repository, right? And if we go back to the source code, we can see that it looks basically something like this. And I'm showing you guys the process of what a developer would have to do to achieve the same thing, right? So if a developer wanted a new Pulumi automation repository, this is what they would do. They would go to Pulumi GitHub to create our new entry. So Pulumi example, we'll say for example, resources, right? This is all you need to create a whole new repository in GitHub, get it assigned to a team. We can say or other team, depending on the team that you want here. Pulumi is the most important part, but bam, once that's done, you're good to go. Then you create a new entry in Pulumi container registry for ECR image, right? And we said that to do that, you go here, Where is it? I'll just copy it manually. Resource, automation, and there. One resource, chat. Off the shelf tools. Off the shelf, right? Off the shelf. What do we get off the shelf? Database, off the shelf. What do we get off the shelf? Container repositories or images, right? Example, bam. So now what we get, right? Because we've set up this automation is we get repositories for free and we get container images for free, right? Once we've done that, now we clone our new repository, Pulumi example, and set up build.json, right? Why do we set up build.json? Because build.json is what manages our build configs. So let's do that now that we've kind of already gotten to this step. So let's see if our repository is made. Bam, there's our repository. Cool. So I'm going to get it. I'm going to say git clone bear. I'm going to clone it. Right? I'm going to go in here, wt add main. There's our main, wt add -b, database automation. Cool. And again, the first thing I'm going to do, chat, the first thing I'm going to do before I write any lines of code, right? What have I already gotten? So out of the gate, I've already gotten for free my repository completely set up for me. Here it is. Hold on. Let me show it to you. This is the exciting part, chat. Look at this. Repository setup, README setup. If I were to go to settings, I have my branch policies set up, like everything ready to go. Simply just, it's work tree. Simply just by adding this block of code to our Pulumi GitHub repository, right? Automation repository. Done, right? Create a Git, hold on, Split. Hold on, we're not there yet. So, right? So this created the repository itself, right? Bam, create a repository. Then we said, all right, well, this specific repository, because it's Pulumi, also needs an ECR image. Because when it builds our automation, it builds it into a Docker image, and then it pushes it up to ECR so that we can pull it in other jobs. So then what do we get out of that? We get an ECR image. Now, I can actually show you that. If I go to ECR really quickly, and if I type in Alt F4 LLC Pulumi, look at this. Here's all of our ECR images. All of our ECR images right next to each other. Pulumi bucket, CI/CD, and look at this. Look at the one that got created, Pulumi database. So now we can push images to ECR so that we can run automation pipelines in Circle CI, right? So we have our repository now, and we have our relative CI image repository as well, basically, for our image. Now we want to set up the repo itself. So again, I'm going to create a new file, call it build.json, right? Now we want this to be a Go application. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to an existing Go Pulumi project that we have, and I'm going to copy the build.json from that, and then I'm going to explain to you what exactly it does, because it's very simple, especially for the needs we have right now. So we're going to paste in this example, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pay attention to name, right? Name, as you might have already kind of realized, is the name of the actual repository itself. So Pulumi database. And if we wanted to make this so that it was in more like importance than like alphabetical order, name would be the first thing, right? The next thing, the language. What language is this repository written in? Go, TypeScript, whatever. We support a few different languages. And then the third one is going to be, and probably the last most important one, is going to be the template type. What kind of template is it? Is it a Pulumi template? Is it a service template? Now this part here, environments, this is specific to needing to deploy to things, right? Sometimes some repositories don't deploy to anything, so there's no need to add or try and go to any kind of environment. But when we want to deploy to things, that's when we actually need to add environments. So we have 4 facts, and this is kind of what I try and say often about this when you look at like setting up configurations, are like, what are the facts that you know to be able to create what you need, right? Well, we know the name, we know the language, we know the template type, and we know the environments we need to deploy to. So these 4 facts give us enough information to make it so that we can generate a bunch of template files, right? so that we don't need to do a bunch of boilerplate, right? And so the idea here is like, instead of having to create a Circle CI file or a Docker file or a git ignore, right? All these things, I configure this and then I run it with my build config CLI tool. And when I do that, right, it's going to go out and generate all the templates relevant that we manage so that I don't have to like actually write it myself. So I only write it once and then I generate it everywhere else. So right now it's using Nix to build configs. 1 second. I guess I cleared all the cache on my system. Oh yeah, I did do that. Never mind. All right, so now it's actually building it. Do you use WSL? I just use VMs. Yeah, sorry, Jazz. I only use VMs. You do !OS in chat to see like what I'm actually running and stuff, if you're interested. At some point, I'm going to make this just like a really nice redistributable. But for now, it builds it whenever it sees changes. All right, there we go. So now, chat, now look at how many files I have. Circle CI, config.yaml, Docker file, Docker ignore, git ignore, just file, pulumi.yaml, readme.md. Well, I already had the readme. But if we look at the lazy git, this is what I got out of the box. I don't have to write any of this. Right? I don't have to write any of this. It knows the name, Pulumi database, Alta 4 LLC. It knows that it needs to pull an image from ECR, right? It knows how to inject the name of the location of the image so that it gets it dynamically. It knows the Docker ignore, right? What we want to not always or ever add to the Docker image. It knows the git ignore, right? Whatever we want to ignore. It knows the Docker file. It knows how to set up the Docker file, right? It knows how to set up the Pulumi.yaml, Pulumi database, right? Obviously, our build.json is what we created, and it knows how to set up our just file so that it actually gives us the commands we want out of the box as well. Now, you like that auto-generated? Yeah, dude. I like to make sure people know that they should not be touching the file. It's something I messed around with here that I'm probably gonna end up doing at Hippo, to be honest with you. Which I'm excited to try and see what people say. So there is something that we do need to change here, and this is kind of important, right? And this is we need to make sure that we are handling within Pulumi the fact that we are indeed managing. Well, so here's the thing. We're not managing an EKS cluster. However, we are using the resource class Alta 4 LLC machine medium or machine small, right? Right now, if I run this, I believe all it's going to do is update the resource class name. Yeah, see, it's just going to update the resource class name. However, it's not going to run it containerized the way that I need it to. So I think what we need to do really quickly is we actually need to go to build configs, and then we need to go like to the Circle CI. And wherever we have if Pulumi EKS cluster not equal to this, I think we might need to change some of this a bit. I think this needs to become if Pulumi.resource class equals, and for right now, if we wanted to, we could just say Alta 4 LLC / machine small. Then it's on a machine. See what I'm saying? Otherwise, we could also Terra. No, not Terraflu. Rust Terra. Let's see if there's like a matches function. There should be, but let's see here. Lower, slugify, title, trim, truncate, match. matching. There it is. Yeah, matching. Yeah, okay. So if name is matching. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to say if is matching. And then we'll say that basically if it's anything that runs on Alta 4 LLC machine, right? Then it needs to set the machine to true. This is really what we want here. And this is the same thing here as well. Yeah. Okay. So if Pulumi resource class. Yep, that's good. Set this as well. Now, it shouldn't change anything except for what you get when you're trying to configure things. And what I mean by that is, hang on. So it is actually like this section here, right? We were using the if the EKS cluster is defined essentially to run it, on-prem or, on our self-hosted runners. But we don't always need to do that. What we really want to do is when we have an EKS cluster, we want to update Kubernetes and add Kubernetes functionality and features to it. We don't want to necessarily always force it to go to like one thing or another. And so what I'm doing is I'm decoupling those two, and I'm saying that like if the resource class matches Alta 4 machine, then do machine things. Whereas if it's Kubernetes, then do Kubernetes things. So if we go down to, again, like this part here, we'll see that here's like a Kubernetes, like update kube config section right here. What we probably want to do is we want to take this and we want to move it here. And actually have the if statement inside of the existing if statement. Because then what we say is we say like, okay, if we're on a machine runner and we need to manage Kubernetes, right? Because what we're talking about right now is the literal use case of I need to be in the network, but I don't need to manage Kubernetes, right? I need to just manage databases, right? So I don't really care about the kube config side of stuff. I only care about that if EKS cluster is set. Yeah. Cool. Travis, you're good, man. I'm currently working. Actually, if you do ! today in chat, that'll help you. But basically, I'm working on some database automation. There we go. For a project we build called Quirk, and for our like overall everything we build. Okay, so yeah. So what's cool is that this is just one job. It's just called Pulumi, so I don't have to really update this anywhere else, at least for Circle CI. But what have we changed? Let's look at what we've changed. So we said that EKS cluster, bam, see, look at this. If EKS cluster is defined or is not equal to nothing, right, then we add the kube config setup, right? Otherwise, that is not a part of this process. We pull the image and then we run. We need to do this as well, actually. So that's something else we need to get rid of, which is this volume, right? Because we're not actually mounting anything here, so we can get rid of this as well. Like this. Jeez. And I think that's all we need for that. I don't really entirely remember. So that'll make sure that the volume parameter only gets added. Oh, and then we also need it here too, now that I realize it. Yeah, the cleanup. Because we're not cleaning anything up here. You know what I mean? And if. I've heard that managing Kubernetes is a show. Yes, it is. Yeah, you're not wrong. It is, in my personal opinion. It just depends on how you do it, Really, I really do believe that. I think there's good implementations. I think there's bad ones. It really depends on how you do it. Okay, cool. So now we've got it so that if Kubernetes cluster is defined, we set up kubeconfig. If Kubernetes cluster is defined, we also mount the volume for kubeconfig. And if Kubernetes cluster is defined, we then also remove the credentials that get generated in the pipeline after we run the stuff. If it's a resource class is set to Alt F4 machine, however, we save the just file, which is important, right? We say that if it's a machine, then we set machine to true. Otherwise, we run it as a Docker container in the cloud. We say that if it's a machine... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I think this needs to be is not machine, is not matching. I think is not works. Or no, I think it's just not. Never mind. I think it's just not. Oh no, it is not. Never mind. Okay, cool. Is not. There we go. So yeah, so if the resource class is not an Alt F4 machine, then we set up the working directory. If it is a machine, however, we run things with Docker containers manually on the host. And that's the real big difference here is that when we run it with a machine, we can't inject a Docker image like we do here. Right, Circle CI and Kubernetes runners allow us to just say, like, here's our Docker image, run it, and then set our working directory to this. Whereas, like, machine runners require us to actually run Docker commands, and that's why here you'll see we have, like, Docker container run, right? Docker container run, versus if it's if it's not a machine runner, we just run the command itself directly, right? Because we're inside of the container at that point running it. Okay, so let's try generating this now and let's see what we get for the Circle CI part at least. Now, if I did everything right, we should only have to change the Circle CI stuff. So if we go here, let's take a look and see what we got. So build all looks the same. Persist to workspace, that's good. That's because, again, we're using a machine runner. And then, bam, look, here's Pulumi. So Pulumi job, run machine, cool. There's our resource class, Alt F4 LLC machine small. And then look at this, bam, attached to workspace, log into ECR, pull image. And because we don't need Kubernetes, right? We don't have that Kubernetes step anymore. We just pull it and we run the automation. However, the formatting is a little wonky there, so we can fix that. Let's fix that really quickly. Where are you? I think that's all we need. Is Quirk running temporal? No, it's not. It's not running anything right now for like workflow automation. We're going to be doing something like that, but we're going to be focused mostly on just like using an event bus. There we go. So yeah, so Pulumi, check it out. Attached to workspace, log into ECR, pull image, and then run our automation. And there we go. We out of the box, right? I had to make some small tweaks, but out of the box got what we needed. So let's just see really quickly if there's anything or anywhere else we might need this. So Docker file, EKS clusters wrapped around the Circle CI packages as well as the kube control packages. That's good. We still want that. Just file has update kube config with EKS cluster wrapped around it. That's good. We still want that. Same thing there. Yeah, so everything looks good. Now we've really separated the two where now we have even more flexibility, right? The first thing we can do is we can say, all right, we want things to run on our self-hosted machines, right? And those self-hosted machines run them with Docker directly, right? So if we go to this is running Docker directly, right? That runs Docker directly. Whereas if we go to like, do I have like a repository? I don't know if I actually kept any of those repos on my machine. Yeah, we can go to container registry. So if we go to like container registry, for example, and look at its Circle CI, you'll notice that here we use a Docker image. It's the same job, right? It's actually the same everything except for in this scenario here, if we put them side by side, right? On the left side, we're running it on a machine runner. On the right side, we're running it on a Docker executor, right? And that's why Pulumi machine, true. Pulumi Docker, blah, 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 blah. Did I have to write any of this? No. Because I go into my build.json and I tell it, hey, my resource class that I want you to run things on is this. Build configs knows how to, in the templating that we just updated, what you just saw me do, right? If it's matching, then change it, right? We change it and it automatically generates these new blocks of code for me. So this is a scenario of when we just run it containerized and we don't need to run on a machine runner so that we have access to our network. And this is a scenario where we have the exact opposite. We do need to run on our network and we do need access to, our machine runner. Cool. Yeah, I'm super happy with what build configs has given us. And again, out of the box, it gives us that. So to be clear, Babyface Zion, I built a tool called build configs. And build configs is a CLI utility tool I built on Stream that you can check our VODs if you'd like, or again, also check out the YouTubes and stuff. I'm going to probably I actually did a course in Front-End Masters where I talk about build configs. It's not out yet. It will be out soon though, hopefully very soon. But I talk about it in that course. And I do recommend checking that course out once it's out. But the CI tool I created with my own, again, I created it, was called build configs. And the idea is that it reads the build.json that I define, the schema in it that I create, and get out of it. So like I told you, right? If we go back to like, all right, well, what is required to setting up a database with us, or I'm sorry, not a database, a repository with us, right? Let me do build. Sorry, I'm getting a little sidetracked here. Okay, there we go. So if we go back to here, now I'm going to explain. So Babyface, not yet, mostly because the templates are heavily opinionated for what I need, right? So I have thought about this, right? Like I really have thought about this. Like, how could I make build configs open source? But the thing that makes it tough, Babyface, is like, there's a lot of opinionation with it. I run Circle CI. I use these specific languages. I build these specific ways. I use these specific secrets. I use, these specific tools. And so it's hard to be like, all right, now you could generate the same. You would just generate basically things that work in my infrastructure. And that's why I really think it's better to understand the reasoning behind it and why we use it, so that you can build and solve that problem exactly for you. That, however, does not mean that I have considered, or I'm trying to think about how it could still be public, so people could like fork it if they wanted to, you know what I mean? Or like inspire from it. Or if they wanted to just like patch it, you know what I mean? And things like that. But I think, like, even if I did make it open source to where people could see it, I think I would still want to, like, it would still be for me, you know what I mean? It'd still be to solve my problem. And if people wanted to help me solve that problem, then that'd be cool, but it's fine. If not, I just got pinged on something. Shit. Hang on. Okay, never mind. Oh, it's got it. We're good. So if we go back to the top and I tell you, all right, how to set up, right? How to guides, set up a automation repository within our infrastructure. How do I do that? Right? How can I do that? Well, if you were a developer working here at Alta 4 LLC, as we call it, because that is what it literally is, that is the company, you would first go to Pulumi GitHub, the Pulumi GitHub repository, and you'd create a new block of code like this. And then you'd commit that code and you'd push it up. Now, again, the overview, I guess we can say here is we maintain all of our foundational right? Infrastructure automation with GitOps and logical repositories that solve business needs, right? BUSI, business needs. And actually, let's say that this is logically separated, right? Repositories that solve specific business needs. Or we could just say separated, or we'll say with GitOps, repositories that solve specific business needs. Yeah, that's a better way of saying it. So each one of these repositories, whether it be Pulumi GitHub, Pulumi Container Registry, these solve specific business problems. So again, if you were at a much larger company and you were like, hey, we've got developers who want to create their own repos, but we don't want them to just be going into GitHub and doing that manually. This is a way you can do it. Create an automation repository, power it by GitOps, make the developers go in and add these and say like, okay, this is how you do it. Make a document like I'm showing you right now, right? Are you serious? I swear I'm going to push him off the table one of these days. Cats. And then, you know, go through the step-by-step. So if we were to set up an automation, or technically a Pulumi repository is what this is, right? The first thing we would do is we go to Pulumi GitHub, we'd clone the source code, and we'd add our new block of code for our repository. What does that give us? Well, Bubby. Hairball. It's okay, little one. Okay, I think he's okay. All right, so if we go to GitHub, look at this. You okay, buddy? Yeah, okay. Bam, Pulumi database. So there's our new database, right? Bam, right there. So that's the first thing we got off the shelf, was our database. The next thing we said is that Pulumi repositories also rely on container registry ECR images. Now, this does kind of wage the question, like in the future, should we make it so that Pulumi GitHub can also create images? But for right now, I'm not merging the two, so this is a separate manual process. So in this case, what happens is after we create the repository, we then want to create the image repository, or basically where the Docker files image goes. And this is so that all the pipelines can run and be reproducible and things like that. So after we create their source code repository, we create the image repository. That gives us this right here, which is our Alta4 LLC Pulumi database image in ECR. So now we've got two things off the shelf. Again, we've got the container registry image off the shelf and the source code repository off the shelf. Now what I want to get off the shelf is all the automation needed to running, you know, the jobs required to, you know, automate everything basically. And so that's where build configs comes in, and using a build.json. So we say, after we've created the source code, after we've created the image, we're now going to clone that repository, right? And set it up with build configs, right? And so we create a setup build.json, and it looks similar to this. We said that the environments we want to deploy to are prod, or just one environment, right? The language that it's written in is in Go. The database, the name of its Pulumi database, or in this case, Pulumi example, right? We said that for Pulumi, we want the resource class to be machine small, or we want it to run it on our internal network. We need it to, right? We need this to run on our internal network so that we can automate our databases and connect to them and manage them directly, as well as create the resource classes for them. And the last thing is the template. We need to make sure that it's a Pulumi template so that it generates all those files. Once we have that, right? Once we have that, that's where we get the ability of then just running the generate command from the CLI tool and getting all of the files out of the box. So I didn't write any of this, right? You could see very clearly that it says auto-generated at the top, right? And that's because each one of these files, config, circle CI config, git ignore, Docker file, pulumi.yaml, build.json, well, except for build.json. Basically everything that's green was auto-generated. What does that mean? Well, a couple things. It means that I get commands out of the box. If I wanted to immediately start building this, I could just say just build and start building it. If I wanted to start automating and previewing changes, I could just run just preview. I made a YouTube video on this, and I highly recommend you guys go check it out. I made a YouTube video on automating your CI pipeline tasks so that it's really easy for you to be able to kind of have all of your CI tasks and everything portable. I highly recommend you check it out because it is also showing it does show the command I'm using right here and how I made it so that the commands that I run locally are the exact same commands that are run in CI. So now that I have all of this set up, I could literally just say like, okay, C feature, build configs, set up automation files, right? Or set up configuration files, right? Now, I don't have any source code yet. Like there's actually no Go code yet, but I have already set up the repository in a way where now if I push this up to Pulumi database, we can start already working on our PR, right? So, and we'll call this the initial logic commit because this is where we're going to make our first like logical commit of all of our databases. But now I at least have my PR open. I can start working on it. And if I wanted to even, I could even start running pipelines. Now it would fail. Like I said, it would fail because there's no Go code in here whatsoever. And the Docker file expects some things to be here, right? You'll see here, it expects a command directory and an internal directory. So we can do that. Now we can actually start writing our code. So I want to quickly talk about what we just solved, right? If I was at a company, if I was working in DevOps, and I needed to make it so that making automation repositories was very easy, right? To where if I found myself in a scenario where I was like, you know what, I need to make a new repository, but I also need to make sure I make it reliably. We just, through the power of technical documentation, right? Through the power of just sitting down and thinking about what problems we're trying to solve, we have now made a basically 3-step process that gets you from 0 to programming your automation within Pulumi. And you can be programming it in TypeScript. You can be programming it in Go. You can be programming it for privately hosted cloud resources, or you could be programming it for publicly hosted cloud resources. And you could program it against any cloud provider as well as, any resource you need for any of those cloud providers. You can do all of those things out of the box by just following these 3 steps. Like, that's powerful. That's massively powerful, especially if you're on a team of, 10 people where you all want to be working together and having the same expectations, but you're all working on different projects and stuff like that. And that's it. This document here would be the document that then we would give to all of the developers. We would say, okay, you work in DevOps, you need a Pulumi repository. Okay, here you go. It's in the setup how-to guides, right? Set up Pulumi repository. And we could even add a bit more to this if we wanted to. We could say like, okay, well, the template will always be Pulumi, but we support Go or TypeScript, right? We could do both of these. We support Go or TypeScript. We also support, which isn't here, EKS cluster, example, EKS, right? That's not there, but that's if we needed to support Kubernetes management, right? So we could do a lot. We could do a lot with what we have here, right? We could do a lot. All right, so here's what I want to do really quickly, chat. I want to take a super quick break. I've been going for almost 2 hours now. Yeah, Kubernetes. I've been going for almost 2 hours now. Realistically, as a developer, this should take you no more than 10 minutes, right? Like, that's how quickly this can get you set up as a developer with the exact expectations and everything you need. And this is, again, this is real DevOps. This is the real problems we try solving within DevOps and, you know, how we kind of get there. So I hope if anything, you know, you guys are really starting to see how we're building things that help help facilitate things that we're trying to do. You know what I mean? We know that we need to make a lot of repositories. Cool. We made an automation repository for that. We know that we need to manage a lot of container images, right, for Docker. Cool. We made a repository for that. And then we also know that, you know, we need to manage a lot of build configuration files and, you know, how they run jobs in CI and, you know, what languages we use and all that kind of stuff. And we built a system to be able to do that too. And because we put those three pieces together, we made it 3 easy steps to make it so that you can go from 0 to hero when creating a Pulumi repository within Alt F4. All right, so like I said, I'm going to take a super quick break. I'm going to go to the bathroom. If you are new to our channel, be sure to check out that little blurb right there. Again, that is a little basics about us. I am BG, one of the co-hosts of the Alt F4 stream. My other wonderful co-host, Atoda, who hangs out with us during the weekend and on the weekends as well. We have a new stream schedule. We stream Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Basically, Monday mornings between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. is when I start. Wednesday nights, actually, we have a nighttime stream now. We're going to be doing nighttime streams again. So one nighttime stream a week, which will be starting between 7 p.m. Pacific and going till about 10 p.m. Pacific. And then the next night, you get a Toda. So Wednesday night, you get me. Thursday night, you get a Toda at 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. as well. And then you get me the next morning. Friday morning, anywhere between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. Pacific. And then you get a Toda. That was something we wanted to do. We wanted to make it so that you guys get more of us, more streams, as well as more content in general. I am going to be working on some YouTubes this weekend, which I'm really excited for. Again, I know I keep talking about it. It's something I really want to get out there, especially as we keep building more things. We get to experience and learn new cool things like this. And so I do want to share them with you guys. So yeah, thank you guys again. I am going to take a super quick break. If you guys are, again, interested, check out the Discord. We got a cool place there filled with a bunch of nerds, as well as the YouTubes. Subscribe to both of the channels, you know, get all that good content. I'm going to run an ad as well. If you guys don't know why we run ads during our breaks, it's basically two things. One, if we run ads, you don't have to see as many. We get this thing called pre-roll, where you don't have to see as many ads. And the other thing too is that basically Twitch wants us to do it. So it kind of, you know, if not, they pump you with a lot more ads. So I'm going to take a break now, run it while you guys don't miss anything. And then when I get back, what we're going to do is we're going to start building out our database automation. We set up, you know, the Pulumi repository. Now we're going to go back to automation. We're going to go to database, and we're going to create this automation in Pulumi in Go. You know, everything you see here. All right, give me a second. I'll be right back. One moment. Be right back. Yo, I'm back, chat. Okay. So what's kind of neat is that even though we still need to write, or even though we're about to write code, there's still like a decent amount of boilerplate that we can still do. Hold on, I need to cough. 1 second. Excuse me. There's a decent amount of boilerplate that we can still do. So for example, the command directory, remember I told you guys that there's 2 directories that this is expecting. So Alt F4 LLC Pulumi database, right? And then we're going to create a file and we're going to call this main.go. Now, again, at this point, we're actually creating our automation now. And if I was to try and do it, you know, as quickly as possible, realistically, I probably could have gotten this repository set up in about 5 to 10 minutes. Or at least, you know, as quick as the automation under it that, you know, would have ran. Let's do go mod init. And this is going to be Pulumi database. Cool. So now we have a go mod init, and we have an entry point to our application right there. So now we're going to go to the main. We're going to set up package main because this is a main entry point. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy some existing code. And I'll explain why in a second. Now, after I copy this, what I want you guys to kind of notice here is that what I'm really doing is I'm really just kind of setting up the automation repository again with a bit more boilerplate. And the main reason why I'm doing that is because this is going to run against like multiple providers. It'll be eventually running against Amazon and Google, or one or the other. And so there's like very simple structure that I've set up to where like the entry point is always the same. It always has the same start or run command, and then like it always has an internal directory with a provider inside of it, so that we know like, okay, this is the AWS resources, this is the Azure resources. Excuse me. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a directory called internal, right? Provider AWS. And then we're going to create a file called entrypoint.go. And the entry point is really the entry point of the provider, and where we start creating things for that specific provider. And that's that run command that we just saw, basically. So we don't need any of this. We're not creating anything Kubernetes related. If we go back to the main.go, we'll see that database provider AWS could not import. So we should probably just run a go mod tidy. Okay. And then let's go back to the main. And these should start resolving. I'm not really sure why. Yeah. Could not. Did we? No. That's definitely just being wonky for some reason. It's there. So for example, if we wanted to, we could say go build -o no go files in. Wait, what? Yes, there is. Maybe. Excuse me. Could not import database internal provider AWS. No required module. That's definitely not right. Let's try this. Oh, I see why that's happening. My bad. It's because I don't need the -o. Interesting. So this worked with Pulumi database. How did or with Pulumi CI/CD. How did I get that to work? Let's look at the go mod really quickly. CI/CD. So what is... Oh, farts. But wait, wasn't I even... I thought I was even in a... Yeah, see, I thought I was even in a working directory when I did this. Or working tree when I did this. Where's my go mod? GitHub Pulumi database. Yeah. It's basically the same thing. Except for I don't have this, but that's also fine. Huh. So if I go here, internal. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm missing something. Oh, I am. Yep. GitHub.com/alt F4LLC. Oh, man. Pulumi database, internal provider AWS. Yeah. Go mod tidy. There we go. Okay. I think we're good now. All right. So this should resolve properly now. Yep. There we go. So now we're resolving to our function. If I try building, I should get a very simple binary. There's our binary. Cool. And remember, this is why we standardized it, because look at the binary that Pulumi expects. I work at a place called Hippo. This is the binary that it expects. So this is, again, very important as to why we standardize a lot of these things and have this set up the way it is. Okay, cool. So now we're actually at a point where we can start writing some of the logic itself directly. Internal provider AWS. So we've got entry point. So I'm just trying to think of exactly how I have this set up in the existing automation that I have. So we have cache, cluster, convention, database, load balancer, and VPC. If we go into database, yeah, okay, so let's do that. We'll do the same thing. We'll go to internal provider, file, database, instance. That's what this will be technically. It'll be a database instance. Database instance. One second. Let's go to... No. Here we go. Okay. So we're going to say package, provider, type AWS, database, instance, struct, Pulumi dot resource state. Yep, that looks good. And then type new AWS database instance args struct, right? And then what did we say we wanted those as? We wanted it as databases, which is a string array. Is that right? Did I do that right? Yeah, no, I did not. It's this way. There we go. And then name, which is also a string. Cool. And then we'll do func new AWS database instance context, Pulumi context, args new AWS instance args resource options Pulumi dot resource option, like that, so that gets closed properly, and then a pointer to AWS database instance or an error. Return, actually, sorry, hold on, and then database instance pointer AWS database instance. Okay. Interesting. So I do put a prefix in front of it where I say database name format AWS. So I know that it's on AWS. %s and then args.name. So in this case, it would be AWS Alta 4 LLC if we were making one just for like the company, I guess, for example. I'm using Go right now. Sit, what's up, man? How's it going? What do you say to people who think TypeScript is not a good option to write IAC with Pulumi? Who cares? That's what I say. I mean, there's arguments to say that any language you could pretty much fail IAC in. Seriously. You could you could fail writing IAC in Go. You could fail writing it in TypeScript. You could fail writing it in Terraform. Like, if you just don't have a good understanding of what you're trying to automate, how you're trying to automate it, doing, again, things like I'm doing, like sitting down and being like, okay, what problem are we trying to solve? You know what I mean? Yeah, like it should be, basically what I mean to say is like, I don't think the language really matters. Outside of, leaning on the language for what it does, the configurations and stuff should almost look identical. A lot of times I'm looking at automation right now in TypeScript that we're about to move over, and what I just wrote is pretty much 1-to-1 from TypeScript to Go, just because it's the same almost, and a lot of IAC is like that. The schemas are pretty much identical in most languages. You're just wrapping the language around it. You know what I mean? No, it's Star Baker. But I'm using Go. Yeah, I'm using Go at the moment. Yeah, and so we're creating even the fundamentals of what we're doing, making modules, making components, putting resources inside those modules and or components so that they're grouped together and provisioned together, and having dependency trees being built, all that stuff is pretty standard, so I would argue more so to say, just write good automation, keep it simple. And it shouldn't really matter what you write it in. I think that's one of the few places where that can actually be pretty valuable to say. I think in software engineering, there's definitely situations where languages outshine others. You know what I mean? But I think in this case, you're just writing you don't need speed. Okay. Okay, boo-boo. You don't need speed when we're talking about IAC. I guess, you don't want to wait. We have one automation repository that literally takes 30 minutes to run, and it's our GitHub one at Hippo, and it sucks. That's bad, but that's not because of Terraform. It's because of us. You know what I mean? And honestly, GitHub as well, and how bad their API is, or their old API is, and why they needed to move to GraphQL to improve how many changes and requests and stuff that you can make against their API at a given time. Now, if you've never ran into that problem before, you don't know what the I'm talking about. So, yeah. The life of DevOps is fun. Return. Oh, my right headphone is stuck. There we go. Nil. Register error. Okay, so at this point, we have a component. Database instance nil. We have ourselves a nice little database instance component. How often do you find Pulumi compared to Terraform? I use it exclusively now, pretty much all the time, for personal projects. However, I use Terraform exclusively at work. I honestly, I like them both. I find Terraform just quicker to work with, unless I hit something that's really not good to do in Terraform, like for loops. Things like that, anything that really requires logic, I think, that's when I like to use a logical programming language, but there's a lot of really nice things that you can do with Terraform, and we use it exclusively at Hippo. I like them both. I think for me, the difference about Hippo, and I talk about this in my front-end master's course, and again, be sure to keep the link because it will be released hopefully soon. I've been waiting for it to be released. But yeah, I talk about it in my course as well, where it's about defining, just having really well defined off the shelf solutions. I have a good background on Terraform. My conclusion is they ruined the experience with HCL. What, with Terraform? DSL is not an option for me. Domain-specific languages. Well, if that's not an option, then, Pulumi, there you go. It doesn't mean one's necessarily better than the other. It just means that so I want to be clear, babyface. Your second sentence is what makes Pulumi why you should try it. Does that make sense? Like, your second sentence is like, and that's fine. It's okay to like, that's where it stops. You know what I mean? But that like saying that working with a domain specific language is not an option. There you go. Pulumi it is, you know. It doesn't mean one is necessarily better than the other. It just means that for you and what you're doing, it's not an option. Because for some people it is, you know. That's why it makes it hard to say like which is better than the other. It's what are you trying to solve? I feel like people hate that question, but it's like it's the most valid question you have to ask. All right, so we need to create some Amazon resources. We need to create an RDS subnet group. So we're going to say RDS subnet group. This should be in Classic. Yep, and we're going to be doing it in Go. Fantastic. We're just going to copy and paste this because I don't feel like typing it. There we go. Okay, RDS. Yeah, see, there's V5, and I don't know why we have V4 and V5, but we definitely want V5. Okay, so we need to figure out how we're going to target subnets now. Options, subnet IDs. Okay, so let's go back here. Cluster. Role. Flash template. Oh, no, that's not it. Sorry. Is it in the index? Yeah, it is. Okay. VPC, load balancer, cluster, database, VPC.subnet IDs. Oh, okay, that doesn't work for me. All right, so we're going to have to figure out a way to get... So I think what we're going to need to add to the DSL, this is where we like, okay, we make things, you know, change. We say availability zone string. I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to say which availability zone or zones, you know, plural, zones. We could say plural. We want this database instance to potentially be put into. Because then we'll use the AZ as a way to get the subnets. You can actually get subnets based off of availability zones. So we say get subnet IDs. Look up subnet args. Filters. Name. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this should be plural, I believe. Values, yeah, values, yeah. So you could do it to one or more values. So we say availability zone. Yeah. I do this somewhere. I swear I do this somewhere. I just don't know where. I have so much automation. We could probably look it up though, actually. Yeah, let's give it a shot. Why not? Get sub, or no, I think it's lookup subnets. Lookup subnet. Bam. Pulumi VPN. Network. No, that's on Azure. Ah, oh, dang, that's all Azure. Seriously? I don't look up subnets anywhere? How's that possible? I don't think it's get subnet IDs. I think they're lying. Yeah, see? I'm pretty sure it's lookup. Either that or I'm looking at the wrong thing. No, I'm not. Okay, whatever. All right, so let's do that then. Subnet IDs error ec2 dot get, or no, lookup. Oh, wait, no, what is it? It's I will give a try to Pulumi. Everything I've deployed has been using Terraform. I mean, that's all I would say do, you know, give it a shot. See if you like it. So it is EC2. So it's EC2 dot. Is it get subnets? Oh, it is get subnets. Son of a hamster. Okay. So. Yo, Armadon, how's it going? Hello, how are you? How is everything? I'm good. It indeed has been a while. All right, let's get these packages added so that it doesn't complain about it. Yo, LMD, what's up, man? How's it going? Hello. Speaking of somebody else we haven't seen for a while, how are you, sir? How was life? How's everything with you? Wow, this is taking a while. What the actual is going on right now? All I wanted you to do was download. Thank you. 2 packages. Okay. Let's go here. In the kubeflow setup, nice. Do you get banned? No, of course not. You're fine. All right. Subnets. So this wants context. And then it also wants arguments of some sort. Get subnets arg. So subnet IDs args ec2 dot get subnet args. I am using Pulumi, yeah. I am. So we have filters. And then we have tags. Get subnets filter. ec2 dot get subnets filter. Name and values. Okay. So the name that we want to get is availability zone. Just like that. And the values is going to be args dot availability zones, right? That is going to make it so that we can look up all of the subnets for all of the availability zones that we want this thing to provision in, basically. I have my opinions on that. Okay. You're welcome to share them as long as they are respectful to everyone in chat. That would be my only ask, but yeah, feel free. Excuse me. I think there's a way to do this. What is this expecting this to be? It is a string though. Yeah. EC2 dot get subnets filter. Oh, I did that wrong. Crap. There we go. There we go. All right, we fixed it, chat. Opinions are welcome, so long as they're the same as mine. I respect that. Okay, so now we should be able to just populate this with this, right? So subnet IDs. Bam. Cool. All right. So now we have a component being set up, database name for that component. We then go out and we get the subnet IDs for the availability zones that we set when we create the database off the shelf. Remember, if we want to talk about that off the shelfness a bit here for a second, we can go ahead and start implementing that here actually if we wanted to. We could say, for right now, sure, we'll do like an Alta4 LLC database, right? This will be one like the whole company really uses at the moment. Again, I'm probably going to make it, well, I'm wondering if we should, like, I kind of want to at least separate it by, like, concern. I'm just trying to think of the best way of doing that. Nah, for right now we'll just do one. I don't feel like provisioning two at the moment. So we'll say new database instance args. We're going to create a new database instance, and again, we can always create another one because we have automation. So availability zones. We want this to provision in US West 2C and US West 2D. So we want this to provision in US West 2C and US West 2D. Now you might be like, hey, BG, why those specific ones? Why do you want it to provision in those? Those are our private subnets. We use all 4 availability zones in Oregon. And so, yeah, that's basically, those are the 2 private ones that we have so that we can have failover for one of them. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to say name is going to just be Alta4 LLC. We'll say that that's the database name for right now. And then databases is the next thing. So we're going to say string, boom, like that. We want, at least for right now, Quark dev and Quark prod. However, actually, technically right now it's called Quark offsite. Eventually we're going to move it back to being Quark prod. I think, I don't know, maybe we might keep it with offsite. I haven't made a decision yet. So technically prod is offsite at the moment. So we'll just keep it as Quark offsite. We also do have a need eventually for Quark dev, but for right now we don't need it at the moment. That's not like what we're actually trying to migrate. Okay, cool. So that's our DSL, right? That's our DSL. Now, again, I know what's their name earlier said that they can't use DSLs, right? Babyface said he can't use DSLs, or they can't use DSLs. That's fine. What you might actually mean is that you can't use their domain specific language, right? Because I'm using my own here, right? I'm using the programming language to say like, okay, well, if I want to create an AWS database instance, these are the availability zones I want it to be able to be created in. These are the databases I want created in it. And this is the name of it. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, that's just something to, something to think about as well. Is like what you might mean more is that, you can't use the, as flexibly as you'd like to, you can't use the Terraform HCL one, which is, again, totally fair. Alta4 LLC args, like that. Okay. And we don't need the actual resource itself, right? So if error is not equal to nil, then we will return our Alta4 LLC error, like that. And there we go. Now we have our resource component that we have here. So to go back over this just really quickly, right? If I was like, all right, I need a whole new database instance, I can just take this, paste it, and then anything that says Alt F4 LLC, I could then say Quark, right? And now I have a database for the company itself. I have a database for Quark. In Quark, we get the offsite, right? We can just do that. And then maybe here we have like example, right? Maybe we need something for the company specifically here. Whereas like here we can actually use, specific environments as their database names. Yeah, and that's how easy it is to now recreate databases. Now, again, we're not done making all the automation. We got to, wire everything else in place. But that at least gets it to where if I want to now just copy and paste, make a bunch of different databases, I can pretty easily do that. Database name, subnet arg, subnet IDs, string array output. Wait, what? Oh, I see. IDs. That's what we needed. So we'll say subnets IDs. Okay, and this wants string array input. So we'll say Pulumi dot to string array subnets IDs. Should fix that. No new variables. Subnet group not used. Nil. Oops. Nil. Cool. Okay. So now we have the availability zones and the subnet IDs being retrieved from AWS. We have our subnet group being created, and we can say that the name is format dot where are you? Sprint F Alta 4 LLC %s database name. Or you know what? I don't actually think. Yo, Babyface, thank you so much for the sub, man. I appreciate that tier 1. Thank you, man. Thank you for hanging out too. Appreciate you. So this wants to be a Pulumi string. Sorry, Pulumi string. Let me wrap their wrapper around it. There we go. So the subnet group is going to be Alta for. I actually think that this just needs to be ops or args.name. Yeah, because this is going to be something specific to RDS. All right. So I've got the basic subnet group there. Let me take a look and see if I've got anything over in my existing automation that I might be missing that I want. Nope. Looks like subnet group just gets subnet IDs. Oh, we also need to make the parent. So Pulumi dot parent database instance. So what this does, chat, just so that you know, is this makes sure that the subnet group resource, when it's created, is bound to this component, the database instance component. Otherwise, it would just create it. So that's something to note here is that I'm actually telling Pulumi here that this subnet group is owned by the instance or database instance component. Cool. Okay. So now we need to actually create a password. And what's nice from what it looks like is that Pulumi actually has a random password generator. Yay, fun. Pulumi random password that we can use. That it can essentially work for us. Okay, cool. That is not what I wanted. Copy. All right. Say go get -u. There we go. Okay. So interestingly enough, let's go back to database instance. We want to create a random password. So random password. Why is their documents messed up? Here we go. New random password. Perfect. This is literally exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, so this password is going to be the master password, technically. So we can change this to master password. And this is going to be the password that kind of gives you like direct access to everything. Why is random not showing up in my IntelliSense? Dadgummit. There we go. Okay, so I set the length in my other automation to 50. I set special to false. And we said that like that. All right, that's fine for now. Pulumi.parent database instance. Awesome. Okay. So now we have, what do we have so far in this component? We have a lookup for our subnet IDs. Yeah, that sounds like something that could be fun. I'm definitely not against that. Yeah, be a lot of fun actually. So we have a lookup for our subnet IDs. We create a new subnet group, right? We then, oh, you know what? This needs to be database name. There we go. Let me think on that, LMND. That's something to think about. Yeah, I want to kind of think about that a bit. New random password, cool. And then so we get a password as well. So we get a subnet group, and we get a random password. So we're getting closer, chat. We're getting closer. The next thing we need is a security group. Ugh, I hate security groups. But yeah, we need a security group. And then right after that, we can basically create our database instance. So the last thing really is network access and making sure that things can access us. So to do that, chat, we need to, we could do it here if we wanted to. That's fine. Let's do security group. There we go. Yeah, and it can just be an EC2 security group. Perfect. All right, cool. So we're going to grab this. We're going to copy this. One of the reasons why I don't like security groups is just because there's so much schema to them. They just, like, look at how much space this takes up, dude. Ugh, it's so much. It's so much waste. Okay, so database name. That's right. Security group. Nil, right? Because that needs to technically return nothing. This needs to be Pulumi.parent database instance, right? All right, there we go. At least it's a little bit nicer now. At least it's a little bit nicer now. Okay, so description. I guess we could say like FMT sprint F, because we want something that's going to be, you know, relative to, we don't want like 9 freaking security group names that all have the same name. That's all I'm trying to say. So we could say that this is Alta, or we could say that this is, yeah, Alta for LLC. Well, no. I guess maybe %S database access, network access. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So now it'll at least say, you know, whatever the database name is. Ingress CIDR blocks. So we don't want to do CIDR blocks. And we kind of need to be specific about what we want accessible from what. Egress is definitely fine. Egress can stay exactly the way it is because we want all the stuff to be able to go out over the internet. That's fine. So we can move egress up here. Just kind of get it out of the way, say we're done with it. Ingress, however, we need a couple ingresses, and I guess we can kind of start with the description here. The first ingress, what did we say? We wanted an ingress for the security group EKS, right? So we wanted to say AWS EKS ingress or access. Well, no, we'll say that this is AWS EKS data or what do I want to open here from EKS? I guess EKS really just needs to access the PostgreSQL port. What is the default PostgreSQL port? It's like 563 something. 5432. So AWS EKS to PostgreSQL. And so this will be 5432. 5432. TCP. Does naming convention and infra exist, or it depends on companies? It really depends. Yeah, there's no official. Yeah. Okay. So this is AWS EKS to PostgreSQL. Now this right here gets a little tricky. The reason why is because right now the security group name for Postgres is not an easy one to get. We will have to do some searching via the API. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Yeah. So if we go to EC2 and we go to security groups, this one right here is the one that we really want, the EKS cluster SG Alta 4 LLC, like this guy. And we could probably just match off of that because I think everything after this is just automated. So like if we went like name this would work, but we want this security group, this one right here. We want this security group to be able to access what's it called? Postgres. Because that is the Kubernetes cluster. So we are going to have to do a security group lookup as well. Dadgummit. Get security group. Security group ID. Do I have to do it by ID? Filters. And it gives us an ID. Okay, cool. All right. So let's do this. Yeah, let's grab this right here. Okay, so we want this to be the security group EKS, right? Because this is for EKS. And we want to use the filters here. And I believe the filters uses get security group filter. So we're going to say boom, EC2 get security group filter. Right, and then we'll do this name. So the name we said was what was it? This. Yeah. We should be able to do something like this. Oh wait, no, my bad. This is name. Oh, interesting. So here's a question. Let's go to filter really quickly. Let's see which, because it might actually say security group filter. Yeah, group name. Yeah, that's what we want to match against, not name. We want to match against group name. So the name of the filter is group name. And the values is going to be string like that, except for we only need one of these, which is This is what is for my IntelliSense. If you go to my dot files, you can take a look at it in the NixOS one. So if you go to the NixOS one and then you go to config, you'll see NVIM like right here. It's really easy, and then you can just kind of like navigate through this. Basically, I use a combination of comp, NVIM comp, tab 9, and LSP 0 to set everything up. Yeah. Okay, I think that's all we need. Chat. The only thing I'm not 100% sure on is like, I'm pretty sure I can do like pattern matching, right? What's the difference between LSP and LSP 0? LSP 0 is just like a helper plugin that sets all of the stuff up underneath it for you so you don't have to do it yourself. That's it. Yeah, it's just like a nice little helper utility. Okay, cool. So security group EKS we should have found. And so if we found it, security groups, Pulumi goes too verbose. It can be. But I prefer Go. Honestly, I really do these days. Pulumi TypeScript, Pulumi, I mean, if you really don't want any of that, you might like the Python one, to be honest. That one's like really, that one's probably the less of all of them. Or YAML, honestly. Pulumi supports YAML now, too. Believe it or not. Okay, so let's say I prefer Go too. Yeah. So wait, is this saying that it wants a series of security groups? List of security groups. The name can be used to relative to otherwise the group ID. So it does want. I thought it would only want one. I didn't think it would want more than one, but okay, whatever. Actually, you know what we could do? We could just do this. Well, yeah. Well, no, actually, you know what? Whatever. Let's just do it. Fine. Look up security group. There should be no reason why we would have more than one with that name. Yeah, that's actually fair. Get security groups. Get security groups. Yeah. So we'll say... Is there no get security groups? Oh my god, I'm so confused. Get security groups args. Yo, Anon, thank you so much for gifting Twitch. Thank you for gifting the Twitch platform themselves a subscription to us. Thank you. Thank you for the tier 2 as well. It was a tier 2 sub, man. Thank you. It's very sweet of you. Filter. There we go. Okay, cool. That fixes that. Okay, so this should give me an array now, which I should now be able to do security groups and then do security group. I guess I could put more than one in there if I wanted to, So we could say security group dot IDs. Oh, are these actual strings? Yeah, they are. Okay. Pulumi dot to string array security group IDs. There we go. All right. Now it should not be as pissed off. Cool. We have moved forward from that error onto another error. So I guess here's the question is... In this scenario, EKS cluster security group Alta 4 LLC. It should only grab the one. Because like I'm looking at it here, right? And I don't see anything else that has like EKS cluster at like any of that prefixing in it. So I'm pretty confident that all of this is the EKS EKS created security group applied to the ENI that is attached to EKS control plane master nodes as well as any managed workloads. That's the one that we want. Sorry. Can you see the return type of what? What do you mean? Yeah, this should be fine. I think this is fine. Okay, so we do need to get the VPC as well. So that'll be another thing we'll need to add here. VPC ID, string. Because we need to be able to then provision it into... Now, actually, here's a question. Do the subnets provide the VPC ID? Because if that's the case... subnets dot... Oh, no, it's just going to be the IDs. Yeah, all right, that's fine then. args dot VPC ID, that's going to be a string, so we need to do Pulumi dot string like that to fix that. Subnet group, master password, and security group EKS. Okay. So we're allowing access for EKS. Now we need to allow access for the VPN. And so this one should be Alta 4 LLC VPN. And if we go here, there it is, bam. Alta 4 LLC VPN. Perfect. So yeah. It's using what's it called? Soundtrack. There you go. Okay, so the VPN, however, although technically it doesn't really matter because in this case the what's it called would be the same, I guess. The port would be, or the destination would be the same because we don't SSH into this instance. Like there's no SSHing here at all. So I guess if we really wanted to, we could just say VPN to PostgreSQL, and then this one could be security group VPN IDs. And so that'll make sure that the EKS cluster can access port 5432, and this will also make sure that the VPN can access 5432 as well. Now, there might be another one here we need to give access now that I think about it. And we're kind of almost missing out here. And that's going to be, it's going to be our runners. So I think we have a Circle CI runner. Yeah. So see this runner group here, Circle CI runner. Alta 4 LLC Circle CI runner. We need to allow this security group access as well, because these are our machine runners, which make it so that we can connect to it and run automation against it. So we are going to have to do one more, which is security group runner, right? And then that will be ingress to the security group database. And that one's important because, again, if we can't connect to our database from our runners, then we have no way of running automation against it. So these three things solve three different problems, right? Security group runner allows us to run automation in the cloud to manage our databases, right? Security group EKS allows us to have our services connect to our database in the cloud so that they can use that database. And then security group VPN allows us to connect to that database directly if we need to debug things, look at data in the database, etc., right? So these solve each solve different problems. What tool is that? It's Notion. There you go, Notion. All right. So we've got VPN. we've got that. We need the circle CI one as well. So let's go here and we'll say this one can be runner. And the group name for this will be Altifor Circle CI Runner. Cool. Now, you know, if I wanted to actually chat, we could bring all these into one. You ready? So here's what we can do. Because of how this search works, I'm kind of like duplicating code for no reason. Where what I could do is I could say, if it matches Altifor LLC Circle CI Runner, Altifor VPN, right? And then the last one that we want to add, which is, oh wait, not that we want to add, the EKS cluster one. This should work as well. Oops. There we go. And so now, instead of having like 3 different lookups, we could just say security group services. Right, so these are like our services security groups. And then instead of saying like AWS EKS, we can just say services to PostgreSQL. Services or subnet, sorry. Security group services.ids. There we go. And then that'll make sure that this security group gets these 3 security groups: Altifor LLC Circle CI Runner, Altifor LLC VPN, and EKS Cluster Altifor LLC. All of these security groups. Or if we wanted to, we could just say security group ingress. Security groups ingress. There we go. And that will be services to PostgreSQL. Cool. What am I doing? I'm just setting up RDS automation right now in Pulumi. But I'm doing it, you know, the way we like to, off the shelf stuff, you know. All right, so what have we got? I think we're ready to create the instance itself now. Yeah, I think we're actually ready to create the instance, which should be pretty simple for the most part, from what I can tell. So we've got the things that we need. We've got our subnet group for our instance, right? We've got our master password for our instance. We've got our security group for our instance. So what we're going to do is we're going to say database instance. Or RDS instance, sorry. Oh, I guess instance, never mind. RDS instance, there we go. And I'm just going to copy what's already here. How you doing, by the way, Kenzo Dev? What's up, man? Exactly, yeah. Do you need the yes, for what do I need it? I need it, so you only need the parent when you're creating resources. When you're doing lookups, you don't need it. Yeah. So whenever you're creating resources, you need the parent. Like here, we need the parent. Pulumi parent database instance for security groups. Again, when we're like this one, we're creating it, we do, right? The parent here, though, is the component parent, right? That's the only parent that we're talking about here, just to be clear. Instance. So actually, we don't really need anything from the instance since this is the last thing that we're making. So we could just say error is instance error, right? So it at least has like its own unique thing. Nil. There we go. And we're going to go through these. Now, I'm going to actually use the one that I've got over here. All right, so the allocated storage, we're going to set to 50. The database name. What did I give the database name? Interesting. What is the default? I'm curious. No database is created. Okay, yeah, that's fine. We don't need that. So the engine is going to be Postgres. Did we do an engine version? No, we didn't. Database security or subnet group name. So then we're going to say our subnet group name. There it is. Oops. Okay. Instance class. We said that this was going to be a T. What was it? We were going to try the Graviton T4G. Yeah, T4G. So we'll try T4G. Now, here's the thing. Here's what I will say. Honestly, I'd rather have this here. I'd rather have the ability of, at a higher level, being like, okay, you know, what is the instance class I want to give this? Right? So instance class in this case, right here, I'd rather be able to do like, you know, DB T4G micro, right? I'd rather be able to do that here, or at least override it if I want to. So that's something that I would raise, you know, pretty quickly and say like, okay, we'll set the VPC ID. That'll be something we have to programmatically set, but the instance class, I like to be able to set that there. Riza, what's up, by the way? How's it going? Why can't I what? Sorry, why can't I what? Sorry, I sometimes get out of context while I'm working. Oh, let's fix this. So this now needs to be args instance class. There we go. Parameter group. We're not going to worry about that. Password. This is where our password that we generated comes into play, our master password, right? So our master password result is what's going to be passed to the password here. Now, if we wanted to, just for like consistency's sake, we could just say password. We don't have to say master password. Publicly accessible. This is going to be a solid false. We do not want this to be a publicly accessible database, right? We set up ingress and security rules so that our VPN can access it, so our EKS cluster can access it, so that our Circle CI instances can access it. So we should be able to access it pretty much everywhere. Yeah, true by default. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, super false. Super false. Skip final snapshot. True. We can keep that. Username. We will set this to the name of the actual database itself. So the username, if it's like Alta4 LLC, or if the database name is Alta4 LLC, that is what the username will be as well. So then we've got VPC security group IDs. We've only got one security group, however, that we need to care about at least. So what we're going to have to do actually is we're going to have to do VPC security group IDs like this. And I think we might even need the error. And then we're going to do security group like so. Whoops. Nope. Security group like so. The main reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now is just because of how something in Pulumi works that's kind of annoying, but you kind of just have to deal with it anyways. And it's around variables and how you use them. The TLDR is like, if I wanted to use the ID of this security group, I would have to turn it into a string because it's not immediately available. Yeah, you have to compute the IDs essentially is what you're trying to say. Yeah. And because they're not available right away, you have to basically wait for them, and then once they are computed, then they become available, and you can then it gets ran against the automation that is needed for. It's kind of a way to make it so that, you know, everything works nicely, but it also is like somewhat, you know, it's still somewhat asynchronous a bit. So anyways, yeah, the main point of it is I would have to change it from a string to an array. However, for some reason, I don't think new security group gives you the security group ID right away. I don't know why, but now that I think about it, I don't think it does. Like, I'm not seeing security group ID anywhere. Look, security group dot ARN name VPC ID. We just get this. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. So to actually get it, we have to, and again, I just want to do this programmatically, right? So if that's the case, then I'm going to do it based off of get security group, right? Which means that we're just going to go right back up to right here, right? And we'll just do another get security group. So we'll do it for the one that we just created, which is a bit dumb. I'm not going to lie. It's a bit dumb. But whatever. It is what it is, I guess. So now, no, it's fine. It's fine. I got it. I appreciate it though, my dude. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm just going to do it the way I know how. Security group dot name. Now, I think this expects normal strings. Yeah, so I'm going to have to like do the same thing. So I'll show you what this is here. So security group names, we'll say that is that for, or security group args values, right? We'll just do that for now, whatever. Security group dot name dot apply t, that func string, and then we'll say that this is the name of the security group. Return. I got it. Thank you. I appreciate it. And so what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to apply Pulumi dot string array. I think input. Yeah, input is what we need. And then string like this name. So basically what's happening here, hold on. I may not have done everything the way I wanted to. Oh, I see. So let's do this. String. There we go. Okay, so what's basically happening, chat, is this is, again, something silly that Mo and I were talking about in chat, which is that when a value is declared and returned in Pulumi, you don't get it right away. You basically have to... yeah, if you have examples, Mo, by the way, feel free to share them. You have to apply it is what they call it, or uplift it, or, you know, whatever term you want to use. But the main point is that you don't get the value right away. You don't get it until after it's resolved, or, you know, successfully added it to Amazon or whatever provider. And so what this does is this basically sets up a function that will be ran and return the actual values that you expect it to, for the next thing that needs those values. So in this case, what we're doing is we're saying security group.name, which we created with a security group resource up here, right? This security group, after it's created, resolve its name, basically, and then put it into an array. And then we want to create a new resolved value called security group args values, right? Because these are the values that we, you know, basically want to resolve for our requests. So yeah, that's basically just how that works. So actually, I'm realizing that I might need to abstract this a bit further. This might need to be this. Yeah. Return. Although, will that work? Can I do that? No, that's going to want to be that. Yeah, no, you can't do that. You can't. Well, it depends. Like in some places you can, where they provide it, and some places they don't provide it. It depends, again, on where the name resolves from, basically. Oh, why does that say allow TLS? Let's get rid of that. Yeah, that's fine. We can get rid of those tags. Well, the problem here, though, I have is that this security group, I'm almost wondering if I just need to put the get security groups in it, as crazy as that sounds. Do something like this. and then return the array. No, see, this is where it's like not fun though, is when they cross wires. Because this wants just a normal array of strings. How did I do this here? I'm wondering. Security group.id. Oh, nice. In the Go version of it, it does provide an ID. Great. Or I mean, in the JavaScript version of it, it does, it looks like. I think you can use the name technically if you wanted to. I just don't know if it'll work. No, it's VP. Never mind. No, you can't. It's the ID. Never mind. I know there's a way I can do this. I just have to think about it. So we want VPC security group IDs at the end of the day. Okay, so what we could say is this could be our VPC security group IDs, like this, right? And then what we'll do is we'll say we need this, we need this. This can go in here because you can do error handling in this. So we'll say we'll do that, a pointer to an array. Otherwise, if it fails, it won't work. And then the name that we want here is this name. Yep. And then security groups, IDs, we can just return like that. Not enough values. Oh, right, nil. Yeah. Okay. So what this oh, I need to make a pointer to it, right? Okay. So now we should have, actually this is technically a string pointer, but maybe do they have like a string array pointer? They don't. I want to say this would work, but I honestly don't know. Yeah, this should work in the sense that what we're doing is we're transforming the VPC security group IDs. This takes the I want to be able to handle the error properly. Yeah, similar concept, yeah. I don't know if they have any concept of like pointers. That's my only concern. Is like this should really just be this, like this, which if that's the case, then oh, whoops. Oh, never mind. I guess that's fine. Guess it's okay with that. Oh, interesting. I would have thought returning nil here would be bad. I would have thought I would have had to do like a string thing. But I guess you can just return nil there. That's interesting. Okay, never mind. We're good. We got it. We're good. Nothing. We're fine. I think we have everything we needed now. So we've got allocated storage 50. Engine Postgres, subnet name, subnet group name, got it. The instance class size, we've got it. The max allocate, oh, let's do this. Let's do max allocated storage, Pulumi dot int, and we'll set this to 100. For now, we'll just say it can go up to 100 if it needs to, but we need to keep it at what it is for now. Password is what is password result. Publicly accessible is false. Skip final snapshot is true. Username is the name of the database itself. And VPC security group IDs. That's interesting. I didn't know that. VPC security group IDs is the applied array that we do here, right? This is where we say, okay, let's get the security group name that we want to look for. We do security groups, or we look for it based off of the group name that we give it, and then we should get back an array of IDs, which should just be that one thing. We're good, dude. We're good. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. This is in the cloud. I'm not too worried about it. Okay, so let's go here. So the last thing we need is we need the VPC that we want to work with. Also, we haven't technically wired in the databases yet. So we technically need to set up databases for instance. However, before we do that, I do want to at least make sure that this is all working properly, because there's a lot here that we kind of want to make sure is working before we try connecting to it. Okay. Yep, all that looks pretty good. This looks good. This looks good. This looks good. This looks good. Okay, so we do just need the VPC, it looks like. Entry point VPC. Okay. I'm just going to, for right now, just to save time, because this really is not going to change much, I'm just going to hard code it. I know it's not the best solution, but it's fine. I don't care right now. There we go. Okay. So VPC ID here needs to be that. Perfect. Okay, cool. So we have everything we need to at least be able to create this first part. So technically, Mo, that is still encrypted even in state. Have you looked at Pulumi state? Just curious. I'm not trying to be rude by saying that. I'm just asking if you have, because if you look at it and you try tracing some of it, most of it gets encrypted. They do like a pointer thing now, but not all of it does. You're not wrong. Like most of it does, but not all of it. I think it depends on the provider. Just preview. All right, so let's preview. Oh crap. Wait, what? Really? Hang on. Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, sorry about that. I wanted to all right, I had to set something up. Now, I told you the guys that I have these commands in place, right? But what you're gonna notice is like this is gonna fail. And the reason why, yo, Togglebit, what's up, man? How's it going, buddy? Shout out to Togglebit. How you doing, sir? Good to see you, man. This is failing because it's saying that I don't have a Doppler set up, and that's true. I don't. I use Doppler. If you guys don't know, I use Doppler as a way to basically keep all of my secrets portable, to where I can run pipeline jobs locally on my computer. I can run them in CI/CD. And so whenever I create a new automation repository, I guess there's another thing we need to add to this. There's a fourth step that we forgot. And that fourth step is we need to set up new Alta 4 LLC Pulumi example project in Doppler with desired credentials, right? And so the idea is that Doppler is already like a part of pipelines and everything, so it wraps all the commands and injects all the variables and everything for me. And yeah, it does replace it. Here you go. Yeah, Doppler, check it out. Use our code, by the way, for free stuff. But yeah, it's dope. I use it exclusively for like pretty much all my secrets now. I really like it. So we're gonna do Alta 4 LLC Pulumi database, right? And we'll say automation for database resources. Just something nice and sweet, something simple. We'll go here. We'll delete this. We'll say prod. We don't need prod right now because remember, this is just going to be for Circle CI. So we're going to rename this to Circle CI. We could also call this CI if we wanted to. It doesn't have to be Circle CI. Now, one of the things that, yes, you can. It has like teams and everything. One of the things I'm going to show you that's really cool that I really like about it because of you nerds is you can reference secrets from other projects. You'll see here, I want my Amazon access key, but I don't want to like have to copy and paste it a ton of times. So what you can do is you can do things like this where you can like reference those specific credentials that you want and then, you know, reuse them in other projects as well. So I'm not actually like exposing this, you know what I mean? Like I'm just saying, hey, I want you to reference this in the configuration and then it will propagate it, you know, when it's ready. And so like, for example, I should be safe to go to like this one, hover over this, and then hover over this. Yeah, you see how all of these have already got, like we're basically just setting up. Now, what's nice about this, and you might be like, well, why don't you just use one thing in one place? Well, in the future, if I want to rotate this, separate these, they still have their own individuals. Now, we're not done yet, Chaos Monster. I got one more thing to show you, okay? So I have shown you the part of where, you know, we set up Doppler, we've added our credentials and stuff like that, right? Well, now if I go back here and I do preview prod, you'll see that prod is not available. Okay, cool, that's fine. Let's do secrets, or actually, sorry, we'll do Pulumi stack init. Let's create an init or a stack really quickly. Cool, stack's created. Now it's preview prod. Now you'll see what happens is Doppler says, okay, I want you to run the config Circle CI in the project Pulumi database, and I want you to give me a diff, or basically I want you to take the command and inject the variables from that project into the command that we run. And so that's what happened is Doppler is basically, all of this is Doppler, and then this is the command you want to run after it. Right? Now, again, I said this before, and I do recommend you guys checking it out. I made a YouTube video on automating your CLI tasks, and that's where just comes into play, right? Because you'll notice here that even this part, right, is a bit much, or I'm sorry, this part here is a bit much. You know what I mean? It's a quite a big long command line. And so I talk about how you can automate your tasks basically using task runners like just in that YouTube video. Oh, nice. My Firefox froze. Hold on. Let me... Man, I swear, this thing's been dying more and more lately. But here's the YouTube video. If you're curious about what just is and how... So just is really the glue for Doppler and Pulumi and Circle CI and local automation, right? So again, I just ran this here, right? But what's really cool is if I go to GitHub and I look at like a repository that's already been set up with this, right? Say we go to this one and we go to like preview, for example. You're going to notice that the exact same command that is ran locally is ran in CI. And that's because Doppler makes the secrets portable. And I talk about this in that video where just making it so that you can run your commands anywhere makes it so you don't really have to care anymore how big the command is. You know what I mean? You really only have to care about like that you can run it. You know, do you have Pulumi installed? Do you have Pulumi installed? Do you have Doppler installed? Do you have it set up to where you can access Doppler? Okay, cool. You're good to go. That's all you need. So it's solving problems like that I really like to do. Yeah. And so now preview prod will run in in CI just like it does locally. So if we look here, let's look at what we get. So, we got some information. So subnet group, AWS Alta 4 LLC, right? This is our database that we want to create. AWS Alta 4 LLC, A6, whatever. I guess I don't know why. Oh, you know what's interesting? Okay, so obviously, first and foremost, we have to fix that. We need to fix the naming here. This is bad. As well as I would say probably here as well too. We should probably fix that. We don't need AWS Alta 4 LLC. So the naming convention, let's go ahead and fix that really quickly. So database instance, this is for the subnet group, right? So we don't need to do any kind of like arg name here. We can just do, right? Because this is going to just be Alta for LLC. Now we could give it a name if we wanted to, I guess. However, the reason why I don't want to give it a name is because of, if you guys have ever run into this before, scenarios where cloud resources need to be replaced with the same names. It's a very common like challenge where if you don't randomly generate the names, it'll actually conflict and it'll fail. And so it's not going to be random UUIDs. It's going to give us, it shows us what it's going to give us. It's going to give us the Alta 4 LLC and then some random business right here. That's basically how they calculate it uniquely. Okay, cool. So then subnet 0DD and 079. So we said that we wanted the subnets, right? We said that we wanted the subnets from the private availability zones, right? So if we go back to our VPCs, we go to subnets, we said that 2C and 2D, right, have subnets that are private. So 079 and 0DD. Okay, so what did it give us when we checked it? 079 and 0DD. Okay, cool. So it looks like the matching of availability zones to subnets is working and we're getting the right one that we want. Random password, we get a random password created, right? 50 characters, no special characters, but just really big password. We then get a security group created, Alta 4 LLC database network access, right? And so let's take a look at this. So this is egress, right? Egress is fine. We want egress to go everywhere. Here's ingress, services to PostgreSQL, 5432 TCP, right? And then security groups. Now we have 3 of them. We said we had 3 we wanted to give access to. So just like we checked the subnets, let's check the security groups as well and make sure. Oh snap! I gotta go in a second. And make sure that these are right too. So the first one, if we look, we said we wanted the Alta 4 VPN one. That can be, or no, sorry, Alta 4 LLC. What was it? The Circle CI Runner one. Yeah, Circle CI Runner. So this one is 0A54. 0A54. Okay, cool. The next one that we wanted was the VPN one. And that one is here. 0A3B. 0A3B. Okay, cool. And so the last one was the EKS cluster one, which is EKS cluster SG0449. And if we look at this, 0449, bam. So we are now also making sure that all of the security groups, have you looked at how Pulumi can consume? No, I haven't. But I could definitely take a look at it sometime in the future. And so we'll notice here that the same thing, the security group gets created. The name is AWS Alta 4 LLC, blah, blah. We should probably change this to maybe like RDS, you know, or something like that, like, or a Alta 4 LLC database instance, you know what I mean? Because security groups are so generic to the account, that could be a little confusing. So let's do that really quickly as well. So instance, security groups, group name. So the group name that we want to make it, database name, subnet. Oh wait, no, security groups. Where's the one that we create? There, here we go. Database name. Okay. So I think what we would rather do here is do something like this, like Alta 4 LLC database instance %s. It's going to be a little bit longer, but it does tell us exactly what it is. Yeah, I'd rather do that. And then we could do name, or, well, we don't have to worry about tags right now, but we could do tags if we wanted to. And then we could do the same thing here with the name of the database itself. The database name could just be dot this actually I think we could just do ops.name or args.name. Yeah. All right. So let's build again and let's run it one more time. Yeah, you have a good one too, man. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. And let's preview. Okay, cool. So let's see what we got here. So okay, so now we have a subnet group being created called AWS Alta4 LLC in the Pulumi resources, which that's fine. That's good because we also could have one in Azure, right? So we don't really want to be restrictive there. Description managed by Pulumi, that's fine. The name is AWS Alta4 LLC. Well, dang. So because the name is being inherited here, it still wants the AWS thing in front of it. Now, I would rather this be Alta4 LLC database instance, you know what I mean? Or database instance Alta4 LLC. It's a little repetitive because it's like a global one. So the only thing we really need to fix is the naming conventions on stuff. I think the subnet group. So the subnet group right now is trying to do the AWS thing. If we do args.name, then that would make it just whatever. So if we do sprint f args.name like this, and then say we do something like LLC database instance %s. I just want to see what this is going to do. I actually do have to get going in a second here, guys. So I do kind of got to get rolling. You can look at the keyboard, ! Keyboard in chat. Oh my gosh, dude. Just do ! Keyboard in chat. My browser just crashed again. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Okay, so now, yeah, Alta4 LLC database instance. Now, again, I know it's a little longer, but like it's explicit, and I don't mind the fact that it's explicit. You know what I mean? Scotty, I got to get rolling, dude. I didn't realize I'm basically at the 3-hour mark. I went a little bit further than I meant to. But we are pretty much done, chat. Like, in all seriousness, we are pretty much done. If we look at what we've got here, we get our subnet group with our subnets in them. Naming here is just going to be the only thing I'm trying to figure out. I like, basically, the way this convention works is this is the owner, right? The product or the owner. So if we wanted Quirk databases, then it would be Quirk database instance, whatever, right? However, I don't know if maybe it's too repetitive. I don't know. You know, that's where I'm like, I'll figure this out. But we have our subnet group being created with the subnets we want in it. We get our random password. We get our security group as well with the security groups that we want to be able to access the database with. And then, of course, we also get the database itself. So we are pretty much good to go. Everything is essentially there to basically provision this and be all set. So I gotta go. Like I said, I gotta get going though, guys. I gotta call it. I appreciate you so much for hanging out with me today. I really, really do. If you are new to our channel, again, be sure to check out this little blurb right here. Basically, we are a variety channel hosted by myself, BG, as well as my good friend Atoda. We do have a new schedule, so we are streaming Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. So we're trying to give you a bit more streaming while we're also working on some other cool content and stuff like that. So I hope you guys stay tuned. Basically, I stream Monday mornings, 8 a.m. until 9, or anywhere between, or starting anywhere between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. Wednesdays, I stream at night. Actually, we are going to be doing a nighttime stream for our EU crowd, and that's going to be starting at 7 p.m. and go all the way until around 10 p.m. Pacific Standard. Atoda then streams Thursday. He'll be on Thursday nights, and he'll be starting also starting around 7 p.m. and going until 10 p.m. And then you get to hang out with me Friday mornings, as always, starting between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. Pacific. And then you can hang out with the Atoda Saturday mornings, starting between 8 a.m. or not 8 a.m. Sorry, 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Pacific time. So yeah, got a lot of good stuff. Remember also to check out and subscribe to the YouTube. we are working on it. I promise you. We are really excited for the stuff we're going to be doing for the YouTube. And whether you're interested in any of the new content we add to the YouTube or our VODs, again, on the Alta 4 archives, be sure to check out both. Also, be sure to join our Discord. It's a fantastic place filled with wonderful people. If you're ever curious about any of the stuff we work on, you ever have questions, you ever want help, want to talk to other nerds, all that kind of stuff, community is a pretty great one. And again, we always say this, whether it be our community or any kind of programming community, if you're trying to get into this field, I think it's a good thing to be a part and be around people who are also trying to do the same thing. You know what I mean? Outside of that, be sure to follow us on Twitter and have just a great rest of your day. Thank you for hanging out. Again, seriously, I appreciate you guys. It's good to be back. Again, I'm excited to be back to a bit more of our full schedule and full rotation. So, yeah, appreciate you guys. Let's go raid somebody. Let's get out of here. Let's go raid Acorn. We haven't raided Acorn in a minute. Let's go say hi to Acorn. Yeah, let's go say hi to Acorn. All right, guys. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Seriously, go give Acorn some love. Say hello. And enjoy the rest of your evening. And again, I hope to see you tomorrow for a Toda and his stream. And yeah, that's really it. I don't know. I'm just stalling and waiting for the raid to finish. All right, cool. Playlist is what you're looking for, my friend. All right, guys, have a great rest of your evening. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I will see you either tomorrow or Monday for more Alta 4 streams. All right, guys, peace out.